Who will be Nigeria's next leader? Voters in Africa's most populous country are about to elect a new president and a new National Assembly. But what's at play this time around? And is democracy strengthening in Nigeria? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Rob Matheson. Now, on Saturday, voters in Nigeria go to the polls to elect a new president. But Africa's largest democracy and its biggest economy has been suffering more violence as that ballot approaches. Several police officers have been killed in the last few days in separate attacks by suspected rebels in the southeast. And a Senate candidate from the opposition Labour Party was shot dead late on Wednesday by unknown assailants in southeastern Enugu state. With Nigeria's debt rising and taxis failing to raise enough cash, Muhammadu Buhari's successor is going to face tough financial constraints. 18 candidates are on the ballot, but 4 are getting the most attention because of their chances to win or force themselves into a runoff. Ahmed Idris reports from Abuja.
Peter Gregory Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, is the youngest of the front-runners to be Nigeria's next president. His campaign message seems to resonate with young voters who say they are tired of the politics of the world.
Everywhere you go see Obi. We want to secure and unite Nigeria. We want to transform Nigeria from its present conspicuous consumption to a productive country.
A successful businessman, he broke away from the party that made him governor and one that chose him as a presidential running mate to lead the Labour Party's presidential campaign. Rabiu Musa Konkoso has a similar shift from the major parties to one that doesn't control any legislature or state. The NNPP candidate is a former defense minister and was governor of Nigeria's second most populous state, Kano, for 8 years.
The election now is between the big names who have destroyed this country and people who are looking for an alternative.
The 2023 election isn't business as usual. The two new contenders and their supporters believe they can unseat the governing party just like in 2015 when the opposition won. The opponents say they can only divert votes from the main political parties. Some analysts expect the two to force a runoff and with skillful negotiations win or even decide who becomes president.
This is the man Nigeria's opposition is trying to stop. A former governor of Nigeria's commercial and business capital, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is credited with transforming Lagos State and restructuring its economy. The governing party flag bearer says he wants to replicate this at the national level.
Security, economy, foreign policy is secondary. Building relationship, giving the other country assurance, believing in the sanctity of contract.
Both Tinubu and Obi are making the most of a belief by some Nigerians that the presidency should head south after being held by a northerner for 8 years. But supporters of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar say Nigeria's democracy must not be defined by regional sentiments. A retired customs officer, Mr. Abubakar is a successful businessman with interests in manufacturing and service industries. He wasn't available for interview. The manifestos and ideologies of all the political parties are similar, but there are at least new contenders for the presidency, which in itself could make politicians in Africa's most populous country more accountable to their voters. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Abuja.
OK, let's talk to our guests. Well, joining me in Lagos is Kazeem Balogun, a political analyst and broadcaster who heads Kalo Africa News. In Maiduguri is Hassana Maina, a special assistant on sustainable development goals for the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Al Jazeera. I would like to start with Kazeem Balogun, please. There are 93.5 million registered voters in Nigeria. Are Nigerian voters actually enthusiastic about these elections?
Thank you for having me on the show. Absolutely, Nigerians are ready. You know, they are looking forward to that day, 25th of February. So they're much waiting to cast their vote, probably thinking that, yes, we can have a new government in Nigeria. You know, anything that has to do with election is about having a new leadership. So they're looking forward, they're ready, and they are enthusiastic about it, as you speak.
Hassana, Maina, you are a special advisor to Atiku Abubakar. Now, he has been part of the Nigerian political process for many years. Given the fact that Nigerians apparently are looking for change, is he actually in a position to be able to do that, given the fact that some people might say he is part of the problem rather than part of the solution?
Well, looking at what's happening, Nigerians are clamoring for change of the situation that we found ourselves in this country. And then this state of Great Depression that we have found ourselves, you know, you can attribute it to the last 8 years of the current ruling party. Through their policies, you know, that has helped no one. For instance, closing the border, thereby incapacitating so many young people from doing business. And, you know, there are just so many policies that this government have introduced that has gotten people, that has eradicated the middle class. So what we now have is the rich and the poor, the rich versus the poor, or the rich and the poor in the country. So people are clamoring for the change of their situation and not necessarily the a change in face. Because if you look at all of the 3 contestants that are contesting to become president, they've all been around for a while. And they have also held different positions in different, you know, capacities. But also Nigerians are, especially young Nigerians and also older Nigerians, they are looking at someone that has been there and has done it before, and look at, you know, the facts are there. Look at His Excellencies when he was the vice president of the country, and he was also the head of the economic team. And look at the great boom that Nigeria has experienced during that time. So Nigerians want a replica of that, because at this moment we've also gotten to the understanding that the problems in Nigeria is so deep-rooted that you cannot begin to unravel it and solve it in a day. And as such, that is why, you know, His Excellency, being someone of experience, is the best person that can do the job at this very moment that we're all clamoring for change.
I'm glad to say that we can bring in Aliyu Audu. He's the National Youth Spokesperson for the Tinubu campaign. That's from the All Progressives Congress on behalf of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So thank you very much indeed for being with us. The candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is said to carry a lot of influence in the southwest, but he's 70 years old. How much do you think that he can relate to young people in Nigeria?
I mean, when we take away age, he's a man of innovation. He's been very close to all of the development happening in and around the country and the world at large. He's very much in touch with present day. He's a man who introduced innovation a lot during his years as governor of Lagos State. So, I mean, he's very much in touch. And being a builder of people, I mean, he's a human capital specialist based on his track record. He's constantly in touch with young, old, I mean, people from different diverse backgrounds and social status. I mean, he's very in touch with reality and very in touch with different demography.
Kazeem Balogun, we are talking about a country which has been for many years racked by violence. Its economy is struggling. We heard Hassana Maina say that people are looking for a continuation of the same. Are people really wanting more of the same violence and economic struggle that they have perhaps seen in the past? I understand about 40% of people are under 34 and are unemployed.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that the situation is like that. But I must say that the current administration has really tried its best from the look of things. We all know that when it comes to leadership, all you can do is to try your best. Needless to say, the fact that there are a lot of things that the government can do better, because the best thing that can happen to Nigerians is to have a great governance. But so far, so good. I must say it's not a bad situation still, because when you look at the whole thing, I always appreciate when we look at things from a broader perspective. We can't conclude that, oh well, it's not been good. You know, we've been having it in a way that, okay, we can say 50-50. But Nigerians will be happy to have a kind of government that will bring succor to some of the challenges. You know, I believe if the way things are now, if government can still, you know, manage one way or the other, I mean, like the certain policies that the government is trying to bring to the people, they can still manage to work around it. But it's not a bad situation, but Nigerians will be happy to have it good, any moment from now, I must say.
Let me ask you about the role of Peter Obi, who was formerly of the PDP but is now of the Labour Party. He seems to be collating a lot of social media support. He seems to be getting a lot of support from young people. How do you see his role, and indeed that of Rabin Musa Kwankwaso of the new Nigeria People's Party, who's also a presidential candidate? Is there a chance that one of them, given that people are looking for change apparently, is there a chance that one of them could actually become president of the country and start essentially with a clean slate? Or do you think that they are just going to serve to split the vote and fragment the votes of the other candidates?
Well, for the two, you know, from their own sides, they're popular. You know, Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, they're popular. They will try their own best, and from the look of things, they have a whole lot of people following them. Looking at the fact that they are new, they've not really been in governance at the top level, but the situation at hand is somehow difficult. If you look at the giants that we have, you know, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, the like of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, they are guys that we can call superweight, you know, heavyweight when it comes to politics. Yeah, Kwankwaso, sure too. Peter Obi is gaining momentum seriously. But the truth remains, you know, these guys, the so-called Atiku and Bola Tinubu, I mean, they're so strong, you know, from both sides. You know, looking at their running mate as well. You know, Tinubu is having Kashim Shettima. Is a strong guy, you know, and that tells you what the Northerners will be looking at. Peter Obi as well is strong as well, and people within certain areas within, let's say, part of the northern side and Western Nigeria, they might want to give a kind of a sympathy vote for him. But definitely, I see it's more of it's going to be a difficult game for those two guys. But, you know, politics can come out any way you don't expect. But, you know, it might be a bit difficult for them. Yeah.
Aliyu Audu, I want to ask you about Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. His slogan is Emi Lokan, which I understand translates into "It's my turn." How tough is it going to be for him to convince people that he should get the job just because he says he should?
Okay, it's not really tough. While I understand that has been taken out of context and blown out of proportion, what it basically means, I mean, he, at the time he was talking to his party delegates, whom he has reason to point to as to his investment in people, his investment in politics, in defense of democracy, in upholding democratic principles, and supporting others. And it's basically what he said was about his turn to get in return, you know, some support is given to others. And I mean, it isn't really about that. It's more about his track record. I mean, there's not been anyone among the candidates running who has contributed more to in a fight for democracy or defense of democracy or in progressive governance like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Lagos State, it's known. It's been a state with potential but never really tapped until '99 when he became governor, and he's been able to. He led the state and turn around the economic fortunes of the state that is growing it from being just one of the states in Nigeria to the 5th economy in Africa, and it's been on the steady growth since then. There's been consistency in the economic growth and fortunes of Lagos. I mean, he's seen as many as nearly 25 million Nigerians moving from different parts of the country into Lagos because it's one state where everyone can, live freely and earn a living and go about their legit businesses.
I want to bring in Hassana and Maina. Forgive me for interrupting you, but I do want to bring in Hassana and Maina there, because obviously you were reacting to what Aliyu was saying. But I do want to make the point that Atiku Abubakar, your candidate, has lost the race for the presidency 5 times already, and yet he still seems to think that he's going to be able to do it this time. What's different this time to the previous times?
So what's different this time is because he is the person that is needed for the job. And he's not the first person to contest elections and lose. The current president of the country has contested elections about 4 times, before he finally got elected into power. I think if that should show anything, it should show the power of consistency. That is the man Atiku Abubakar. And you would agree with me that consistency is a good thing. But I cannot help but listen to Aliyu when he talks about his candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And, Lagos has been, I schooled in Lagos. I was in law school in Lagos. I was in secondary school in Lagos. So I have lived in Lagos, and I think I have the right to speak about Lagos. And Lagos has been a state capital. Lagos has been Nigeria's capital. Lagos is strategically positioned in a way that it has ports, and it's had so many opportunities to grow. As I speak to you right now, Lagos is over-congested. Lagos is one of the worst places to live in. And also, the security in Lagos is not as great as they would want you to believe. And also, aside the... and also, look at the thugs. Look at, which are popularly called agberos. So I one day want to speak about, the antecedent of, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I feel like it's going to be fair to say this to the international media and not just talk about the things that he has achieved with all of the opportunities that is given. I would reckon that, with the way Lagos is strategically positioned, it should have been better than this. There's room for it to be better than what it is that they are boasting about, because it's below average at best.
Hassana, thank you very much. But I want to get away from the kind of campaigning element of this. Kazeem, I want to talk about the state of democracy that there is in Nigeria. We're talking about a situation now which is unusual in Nigeria in that none of the candidates is already in post. None of them is an incumbent president, and none of them appears to be a former military leader. What difference do you think that is going to make to the state of democracy within Nigeria?
Yeah, I think that is a positive story, I must say, for Nigeria. It's a great news that we are having majorly politicians, any moment from now, whosoever emerges. So it's a good story for us because it signals a right message that Nigeria has really come to that democratic process that we are talking about. We believe that anything military is a kind of aberration. So having these guys from being politicians, co-politicians, businessmen and technocrats, coming into proper governance, at the level of the presidency. It's a positive story for us, and the Nigerians will be happy for that. They'll be looking at. That's why I said, they'll be looking forward to at least having any one of them, who is coming from a different background against the current president. So even though the current president wants a retired soldier, he has done what he can. But it would be great if we bring in individuals that can say, okay, from our own business background, from our own background elsewhere, aside the military or anything associated to that. We want to channel a new path for a new Nigeria. So the Nigerians will be looking forward to have such a person as the president.
Aliyu Audu, I want to ask you about your role as part of the APC Rebirth Group. You're obviously focusing on the younger element within the APC. What is it you're trying to achieve with that?
Okay, at first, you know, APC was formed 10 years ago as an amalgamation of the constituent political parties, which were basically regional parties at the time. And I mean, while we got into power, there's been a bit of challenges trying to, you know, embrace our ideology as a progressive party, with the knowledge that we have members from different backgrounds and all. So we seem to be, you know, at the time deviating a bit from our core, you know, ideology. And as young people in the party, young people in the country who are members of the party, who are, I mean, we have the likes of Matheson to look up to, I mean, a Democrat and a progressive leader. And we thought it was right to hold our leaders within the party accountable and ensure that we abide by our own constitution, our own party constitution, abide by our own guidelines, provide level playing field for every member of the party for internal and external contest. And that's what the APC Rebirth was about. And successfully, we were able to push for 2 conventions, and one that led to the the emergence of National Working Committee, then the presidential primary convention that led to.
I want to pick you up. Forgive me for interrupting you, but I want to pick you up on the point that that in fact everybody appears to be making, which is that young people, the votes of young people, are going to be key in this. That this is something that is absolutely crucial to whether or not people succeed in this election, and obviously. Aliyu, that you are representative of that. I know, Hassana, you are representative of that as well. Aliyu, let me ask you this. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu, given the fact he's 70 years old, if he becomes president, what are the chances, do you think, that he is actually, no matter how progressive he says he's going to be, what are the chances that he's actually going to be open to eager young people within his party trying to change things? I
mean, he's surrounded by young people. The bulk of people doing the groundwork for him are young people. And he's promised in his manifesto, the renewed hope, you know, he's promised to have 9 cabinet positions for people between the age of 18 and 49. And I mean, he's talked about getting young people involved in leadership, both at party level and government level. We are very confident that he will do the same, because while he was governor of Lagos State, he brought a lot of young people close and mentor them. Most of them are national leaders now. They were way younger. The current governor of Lagos State was an aide, a young man.
Kazeem, let me ask you about this element of young people, because the bit of research that I've been doing seems to suggest that the influence of young people is going to be determined in terms of turnout, in terms of, you know, if there's a lower turnout, but they are predominantly younger voters, then certain candidates are going to benefit from that. How significant in this particular election do you think is the vote of young people in the first instance?
Well, from the look of things, the young people, they're now coming up, you know, gathering. I mean, it's gaining a serious momentum when it comes to young people, you know, thinking that they need to do it right this time, you know, given Nigeria a great president. So they're more informed, they are ready. And I think this time around, their votes will definitely count because they've, you can see from the look of things, you know, having these guys, you know, playing an important role, you know, from both parties. I mean, it goes a long way. Unlike before, you know, they might tell them that, okay, it's not your time, go and do something next. But they're now playing very, very pivotal role. You can see some of them, you know, speaking now, you know, having organizations, you know, campaigning for certain candidates. So it's a different ballgame. The younger ones are now looking at saying, okay, let's take the bull by the horns, and they're walking the talk. They are not joking this time around. I can see from the look of things, they are super ready to bring that change that we are looking forward to. So their votes will be very, very significant this time around.
Hassana, I want to ask you about the participation of women. How much of an impact are the votes of women going to have in this election?
I feel women are becoming more politically involved in the elections in Nigeria. And I think that's thanks to the, surge in Goal 5, that's gender equality, and the work that local NGOs and international NGOs have been doing to sensitize women on the importance of getting involved. And also, I think women have also seen that being involved in politics, despite its challenges, is the only way to get heard in this democratic setting that we found ourselves. So I think the women's participation in politics is great. But then when it comes to women elected leaders, that's where the problem, that's where the problem is. Because at the same time, we keep on seeing that less and less women contest contest for elective positions, and that is worrisome. And I think it just goes back to speak to the difficult terrain that women find themselves in whenever they venture in politics.
Kazeem, just very briefly, we only have a few seconds left. Let me ask you, given everything that you are seeing about the way this election is being campaigned for, and what Nigeria has been through over the last few years, do you think we're going to see a different Nigeria in about 2 years' time? Very briefly, if you could.
Absolutely. Things will get better. I'm very, very optimistic. Whosoever imagines things will get better, I'm optimistic Nigeria will be a great country, because that is what people are looking for. We are facing some challenges, but the best thing that can happen to us as a country is to go out there, give our votes to the right candidates that can take us to that next level that a country like ours, the giant of Africa needs. So with Nigeria is going to be better for it in the next few years, 6 months, a year, or let's say that 2 years that you mentioned.
Kazeem Balogun, thank you very much indeed for that. I apologize for interrupting you, unfortunately. Of course, time is against us, but thank you very much indeed. And thanks to you, and thanks to our other two guests, Hassana, Maina and Aliyu Audu, and thank you to you too for watching. You can see the programme again anytime by visiting our website, aljazeera.com. And for further discussion, go to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. You can also join the conversation on Twitter. Our handle is @AJ Inside Story. From me, Rob Matheson, and the whole team here, bye for now.